Let's welcome on and say hello and good morning to Randy Mueller, former NFL executive, writer now at The Athletic. He joins us in Kansas City. Randy, good morning. Thanks for being here.
Thanks. Good morning, guys. Good to be with you.
Hey, let's start off, Randy, with just kind of the approach you have as you get set for a week like this, what it's like front office and as players dealing with all the chaos that surrounds getting ready for a game like this on Sunday.
Well, it's definitely rarefied air, that's for sure. I think the biggest thing most teams try to do nowadays is get as many distractions as they can behind them. And as you guys know, being in Kansas City and a regular participant, it kind of becomes old hat at that point. I think they know the system, they know the procedures, they know the directives that they're going to get from the league. The hard part, I think, for teams to adjust to is the league controls really every minute of your time. So you've got to find a way to still get your work done, but yet make the league happy with the structure they have in and around the game. But it's a mindset. I think that having gone through it, it's a definite advantage really for both these teams, but especially for Kansas City.
You know, Randy, this is a team, obviously, that everyone thinks about, hey, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, but you know this as a former executive yourself. The way that Brett Veach has put together this team, the importance on figuring out how to make the salary cap work in the NFL, which is really complex. How much credit do they deserve for putting this team together? And what does this look like going forward as they try to keep this, I don't want to call it a dynasty yet, but certainly this run continuing on?
Well, I think they've done a remarkable job, and you're right. This doesn't happen everywhere in the NFL. Usually you see these teams find a way to get things done, but it's not sustainable. In fact, my colleague Mike Sando wrote it this morning for The Athletic in his Pick Six column. He talked about the breakdown of how the Chiefs have built it compared to even how the 49ers have built it. And their salary cap decisions, their drafting and team building decisions, in my opinion, are top notch, and that's why it's sustainable. They don't have a bunch of dead money to deal with, but at the same time, they have, 5-6 players, and that is it, with cap numbers over $5 million. That's hard to do and still be good. So they've made a ton of decisions and set precedent that can be sustainable. And you're right. I don't think Brett Veach and his outfit and his staff really get enough credit for the way they've set it up and the priorities that they've put on team building in a certain way. And obviously we know Andy kind of runs the show there, but they've made some hard decisions to get to this point, but it's paid off more than anybody can realize, because it's behind the curtain where all of these levers are getting pulled that makes sense for me for long-term sustainability.
Mm-hmm. I mean, listen, letting Tyreek Hill go and then making 2 straight Super Bowls, that's not easy. But, it's those tough decisions that in a salary cap league you have to make. I mean, you made them for I think, of 10 years for you with the Chargers here in the AFC West. But obviously, during your time as a general manager, sometimes you got to make these things happen, even if the fans, are not going to be happy about it, right?
Yeah, no doubt. You have to have confidence and conviction that you're doing things right, and you can tune out the noise that comes with the criticism while making some of these decisions. I think really for me, and I've used this throughout my career as a GM, it's all about options, and nobody wants to decide that, hey, we have to get rid of Tyreek Hill. This makes sense. But you've also got to have options in play all the time. And if you don't have conviction about your options, you end up making bad deals. And that's the career of a GM, right? You've got to find options so you don't make bad deals, whether it's a draft day trade or a salary cap addition that doesn't make sense. You've got to keep the door open for considering all things. And hey, it's no different when they move on from a tackle like Orlando Brown. They figured out a way to make it work. But I'll tell you, the key for me is their coaching staff has done a great job of developing these players throughout the process, because all we know for sure about the NFL is it will come with change. Mm-hmm. And every year your roster changes. And if you have teachers and developers on your staff, you have a great advantage over, I'd say, more than half the league.
Randy Mueller's joining us here on KCMO, former NFL executive. Spent 10 years, by the way, with the Chargers, formerly San Diego, now Los Angeles. He's also a writer now for The Athletic. During your time, I guess that would have been during the San Diego years, Randy, did you ever predict? I mean, I know that you left right when Mahomes kind of came in, but did you ever see this team going on this kind of run? Because you saw this team during some very, very lean years here in Kansas City when you were in the AFC West.
Well, I've spent 27 of my years in the AFC West, so I feel like I know it pretty good. And I don't know that any of us can predict, but I did see Mahomes. I did see what they were getting. At the time in San Diego, we had Phillip Rivers, so we weren't in the quarterback market. But the conviction that they showed for not only identifying him but moving up told me that they really feel good about this. And yeah, I don't know that we can always forecast with a great accuracy as to who's going to be good, but I know this: they've done a good job, and the meat and potatoes decisions that they have made along the way told me that they really get it. Because I do think, and I always go back to this, they can evaluate players, and that is a giant misnomer, in my opinion, in the league, because you think everybody can. Some do it better than others. I'll just say that.
Randy, this game on Sunday, you mentioned you like the fact that the Chiefs kind of have this routine down pat, going to a bunch of these Super Bowls in recent years. But do you like them in this game as you look ahead to Sunday and everything that's going to be involved between the Chiefs and the 49ers?
I actually do, because I think obviously the strength of Kansas City's team, I mean, they have the best player in the world, right? We get that. But his ability to stay focused, to really come with a finer focus as the games get more important. I think Pat showed he does that, and I think he can elevate the rest of the team with him. I do like the Chiefs in this game. I can't believe you get points
yeah.
and Pat Mahomes in the same breath. So that one, is hard to turn your back on. The other thing is, I think the weakness of the 49ers is in the secondary, and I think they can be exploited. And obviously that makes for a tough matchup for them to slow down what really the Chiefs passing game that has, as we all know, was up and down most of the season, but is really hitting on all cylinders right now.
It's so weird. I mean, you noted it there, Randy. The line opened up 49ers minus 2.5. It moved to 1.5, and now it's back to 2.5. So you get Mahomes, Andy Reid as an underdog in this game when they've won, by the way, I mean, a bunch of these playoff games as underdogs the last couple of years, including the AFC Championship game. I know I'm sitting here in Kansas City, Randy, but I just don't get it.
Well, I'm in Seattle, and I don't get it either. So I'm with you. And usually Vegas doesn't get it wrong at all, and I'm sure they have their reasoning, so I understand it. But I'm with you. This has a feel of a Kansas City being favored type setup for me, and obviously the numbers don't show that.
Mm-hmm. What are you hearing around the NFL, though, as to why people might like the 49ers in this game?
Well, I think the defense is really what everybody comes back to, but it's that front seven. It's their ability to pressure. It has taken on water, though, the last 2 or 3 weeks, and I just haven't seen the same defense that we saw at different points during the season. So I think that's a lot of it, and I think the fact that, you're getting Debo, you're getting McCaffrey, you're getting Kittle, a lot of perimeter talent, and they just figure that those matchups will maybe overcome the brains of Spagnuolo's defense and all the things he can throw at you. So I don't know why people see it the way they do. I think it's like Baskin-Robbins, right? 31 flavors. We all get to pick our flavor.
Randy Mueller, former NFL executive. He was the executive of the year as well back in 2000, and now he's with The Athletic. Randy, great to have you on in Kansas City. Thanks for the time.
Thanks, guys. Anytime. Enjoyed it.
All right. Good stuff there. We appreciate him hopping on the show.